Little is known about deaf people in Iraq and the sign languages that they use. The International Organization for Migration commissioned a report to learn more about the development and use of sign language in Iraq and identify the priorities of deaf people across the country. The research team included culturally diverse deaf international consultants and deaf data collectors from Iraq.
Data collection took place in Sulaymaniyah, Basra, and Baghdad, with additional interviews conducted remotely with key informants from Duhok, Erbil, Karbala, and Mosul. 51 deaf people participated in focus group discussions led by deaf data collectors using participatory storytelling methods and photo library tools.
Fourteen interviews were conducted by deaf data collectors with representatives from deaf-led organizations of persons with disabilities, deaf institutes, general organizations of persons with disabilities, the Ministry of Labor and Social Affairs, as well as sign language interpreters. After the data was analyzed, a workshop was held in Baghdad to validate the findings.
The analysis found that in Iraq, deaf people are often denied their rights to communication. Sign language requires legitimization and strengthening. There is a shortage of sign language interpreters.
There is no training or ethical framework for interpreters. There is no early childhood education for deaf children. Teachers' limited competency in this area prevents access to quality education. Deaf-led organizations of persons with disabilities lack resources to carry out their core work. Some general organizations of persons with disabilities are not inclusive of deaf people. Deaf people in Iraq are often under the control of others and at risk of abuse. Deaf people have limited employment opportunities. They rarely benefit from humanitarian and development assistance.
These findings led to a number of recommendations, including to increase sign language knowledge among the families and communities of deaf children and adults. Support deaf-led organizations of persons with disabilities to raise awareness, reach isolated deaf people, and build a deaf community. Develop a strategy that includes a national training program to increase the quantity and quality of sign language interpreters.
Develop a deaf education strategy for children and adults. Empower and safeguard deaf people through awareness raising and accessible support. Prioritize income earning opportunities for deaf people.
As a deaf data collector, it was easier for me to directly communicate with the deaf respondents. Through this report, we hope to launch messages towards obtaining the rights of deaf people in Iraq.
Through my experience as a deaf data collector, I noticed that many deaf people have lots of information to share. My message is to include deaf people in society and promote their rights.